What is going on, guys? Happy New Year. We are back. HSP Podcast is here for your viewing pleasure. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berga. Yes, the Jersey Wrecking Crew is back on HSP with a brand new episode, and we've got an exclusive interview. And welcome back a friend of the show. Misha Montana joins us. Misha, who is getting set for AVN in Las Vegas. Very exciting times for her. Joins us. She's back. She's here to set the record straight and also talk about AVN and everything else she's got going on. Misha, how are you doing today?
I'm so good, you guys. Happy New Year to you. I'm happy to be back. It's been a crazy couple weeks, couple months, but such is life. AVN is it's this week. It's tomorrow. I don't even know where I am these days. It's been so crazy, like holiday transition. I'm actually flying out to LA tomorrow morning, and then I actually am driving from LA to Vegas, and I'll be doing appearances every day with the Inked Vixens booth. So if you guys want to come by and see me and meet me and get some stuff, I'll sign some photos and we'll do the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to AVN. Like, this is the first year that it's back in person. There's a new venue. It's really just exciting. I think everyone's incredibly excited to be back in action. So I'm really looking forward to it. I was nominated for the second year in a row for Performer Showcase, which I'm very, very happy about. So my dress did not come from Australia so I'm not sure what I'll be wearing to the award show. And then they told us that we can't wear. I was just gonna do like the chains that I usually wear and stuff, and the hotel said absolutely not. We can't have anything sheer or pasties or anything. And I was like, well, that's a bummer and a buzzkill and a half. So now I really don't know what I'm gonna wear. My backup plans have failed. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to AVN, and then the following week is XBiz, which I'm also extremely excited about. A bunch of my friends and I have a table, and it's just going to be super fun. I was nominated for Sex Scene of the Year, which is probably one of the biggest that I've ever been nominated for my scene from Blackout. It's a blindfolded gangbang, and I'm super excited about that. So there's a lot. I will be appearing at X3 on the 13th of January in Los Angeles. So we've got a lot going on. It's pretty crazy coming off of holidays and then dealing with a few things that we've been dealing with very publicly. I wanted to come on, and I reached out to you guys too to allow me to have some space to just clear the air on a few things. And before I start, I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to be like spilling a ton of dirt or private information. The most disturbing thing to me about this entire situation is that people have used it to their advantage, or they felt that their private feelings were best coddled by being very public about it. And I never have experienced, even in the adult entertainment world. The adult entertainment world is like a high school. And I'm very familiar with dealing with the Twitter drama. I think Twitter is like the worst creation in history. Facebook is a little bit like that too. Instagram, not at all. That's how I live on Instagram, is my safe space. And I've never been interested in drama. I don't like drama. I don't want to engage in it. I think it's childish and immature, no matter what the situation, whether it's, dignified or not. I've never operated under that assumption. I've always been told and taught in my life that the less you say, the better about anything. And, to be mindful of your feelings, but not allow it to make you look foolish. And the more you talk, the more foolish you can look. And when there was a very public article written about me and my current relationship status, I am with Matt, and we're very, very happy. We love each other. We started seeing each other very casually, and it just grew into this really wonderful relationship. And it was so upsetting to me that it was just slandered across the board, which I should have anticipated. And I think the biggest thing that I need to remind myself of, this is a very humbling experience for me, because in my world, when I say things, people listen, and for the most part I feel like I'm respected, and the platform that I operate on is coming from a human perspective. I've always ran with the narrative and being honest and true to myself that I wanted to be a figure that was uplifting and that could use my experiences to try to help other people and to try to be inspirational, and then at the same time taking on opponents in the world, the Christian community, the political opponents, feminists, all these different opponents, society in general, that have misconstrued opinions about the adult entertainment industry and the people that are in it. And I've been protected in a bubble where my audience is mostly receptive to it because they're also an adult. And then this last year, I, had a lot of professional and personal accomplishments with being able to be on platforms that crossed over into different worlds, into the more mainstream world, with Soft White Underbelly, with No Jumper, with a lot of the interviews that I've done and the platforms and panels that I speak on. And for the most part, it was well received, but on a small scale, you see the pushback. But when you get into things like this, where it's just blasted into society and it's a negative perception, I was really surprised, and I shouldn't have been. I was ignorant to think that, my status and my background and history would be well known in the world when people research me. But of course, when people research me, what comes up first? Obviously, my profession and my scenes and, my involvement in adult is what people see. And not that that's a problem to me or unfortunate, but when people weaponize that against you, it makes what I'm doing that much more important, because people only view me as just a disgusting whore, essentially. And I'm not. It's disappointing to see, but it also is like, it's motivating, because all of these things that have been said about me, I mean, people are going to say it because, they just lack the ability to say anything else, because there's nothing else that you can say. And at the end of the day, we are all human beings. Like, I am in the adult entertainment industry. I have a child, which people find just awful, apparently. And it's just disappointing that people think that way. And excuse me, I'm kind of coming off of a cold a little bit. But it's really an opportunity to push the narrative further, not just for myself. And I think people will think that, this is self gratifying or that I'm seeking attention. And I want to make something very clear too. If I wanted attention from any of this, I wouldn't have posted a picture of him and I in my private story, for one.
Mhm.
Two, I could have had any opportunity along the line to exploit our relationship if I wanted to. And I never have had any interest in doing so, because that's not the type of person that I am. And with him and I, we care about each other as human beings. Um, and that's all that matters to me. I'm in love with him, he's in love with me, and the rest of the world's opinions don't affect me at all. Um, so I wanted to make that very clear too. And that is why I haven't responded basically at all. I responded to one thing, and it was like a one sentence comment, and then they wrote an entire article about it. So then I really stopped responding.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to, I can't say anything. I didn't, and the problem that I have too is like, this is why I wanted to say something now. So I'm not seeking attention. This isn't an opportunity for, me to capitalize on anything, because I'm not going to be giving any of my private information to anyone. That's just never going to happen. But even though other people feel the need to do so, I
Yeah.
will not.
And we would never expect that from you either
Yeah.
in terms of
So
that.
yeah. So just to clarify though, when you say Matt, just to everybody now, you're dating current WWE superstar Matt Riddle. Just so that everybody knows, just so that we can be clear here. So basically what obviously when we looked at it as being people interviewed you before and we saw the picture, we're like, oh, okay, kind of put the pieces together. We saw you put on your story you went to an event, WWE event and stuff like that. Okay, we just thought you were going just to see the matches and stuff like that, and then we put two and two together, and when you put that out there, we're like, oh, look at that, Misha, congratulations, because you put your personal stuff out there on so it's nothing that we're talking about is something that like we're gonna uncover, like, oh, you guys should say that. No, you put that out there, your personal stuff before that you were going through, and then we're like, okay, congratulations, you're happy. That's awesome. But as your celebrity rises and as you get more of a name, especially this past year, because we had you on last time and you were talking about all your accomplishments, you're trying to be someone, we really think of you as an inspirational person because of what you went through in the past, being a stroke victim, and just really killing it this last year in 2022 to get where you are now. AVN, XBiz, all that stuff, man. All kudos to you. Throwing your flowers before we get into these questions, but with that, and Matt being kind of like controversial himself a little bit, the articles that you saw, were you like just blindsided that like, man, this is how the wrestling community can be? Because they're praising you when you're doing death matches and getting into the business, you're going to get the respect, but when they see your background and they know where Matt's coming in his past, it's well documented, right? We're not uncovering new things, right? He said, she said stuff with his ex-wife and stuff. Is it something that you just took aback that people would just be like more negatively towards you guys? That all the comments would be that crazy?
I again, coming from a world that's highly scrutinized anyway, I was actually shocked. And um you know it's unfortunate too that a lot of the things that have been said in the past and all these false allegations, and it's crazy to me that when you're on a certain pedestal and have a certain status, that people can weaponize things so easily against you. And I never experienced anything like that in my life. I've never actually been a part of it. And just how vile it can be and toxic. And, you know, I always knew that the wrestling community was, and I've said this before, like with fans, I was like, porn fans and then wrestling fans, there's the parallel, but like wrestling fans are rabid. And that's why when I am in XPW, I always wanted to earn the respect and not disrespect the sport and the fans first and foremost, because I know how much wrestling means to them and to me and to anyone that's involved in the community. And it's unlike anything else in the world. It really is. It's unlike any other sport, any other form of entertainment. The fans are just unlike any that I've ever seen. So when I should have known better when that came out, but the thing is it was never my intention for that to be public. Even though I am very public, and like at some point, it was going to be known, and people knew. A lot of people knew in my circle, obviously, and I think people were getting the hint when I'm showing up places, and
Mhm.
it was known to an extent, not on a very, very public scale. And the biggest thing for me too is I didn't want anything that has to do with me that the world sees as negative or um, grotesque in a sense. I didn't want that to impact him. I didn't want it to impact his career or anything like that. And it's unfortunate that people choose to judge prematurely, and they just don't have a grasp and understanding of what the adult entertainment world is and who the people are that are in it. And it's kind of disheartening to me. And I have very, very, very thick skin, and I don't take offense to it. So, seeing the comments and stuff, I'm just like, oh my God. Like, oh my God, I've never seen, and I read them. So just to be clear, like I do, and everyone's like, I don't know why you read the comments. Like, because it doesn't bother me. I just want to see where people are at. But for the most part, I was pleasantly surprised. Even other people that have talked about me, minus Cornette, that Cornette was not very nice, and I was like, I anticipated that.
That's
But
not about anything, so
he's not nice at all, period.
Yeah.
So I was like, seemed like a very happy guy. So I'm like, that's fine. But for the most part, people that actually do their research or have heard me speak, I would hope that people would be like, wow, like she's not just, a young, dumb, full of cum porn girl. Like, there's not saying that there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
There's
No.
nothing wrong with that. It's just that, and I'm not saying that, I'm better than anyone either, but I have always tried to provide, a positive perspective into our industry, into the world, using things like my stroke to try to relate to people and to encourage them to, not give up and accomplish any dreams that they have. And so it was shocking to see just the media blow up over something so simple in my mind. And I shouldn't have posted the picture is really what, like, I don't regret it necessarily, but like seeing the reaction now is like, I probably shouldn't have done it. I wasn't aware.
Well, that's another thing I want to ask you, Misha. I mean, you just said, and you very eloquently were explaining how you were feeling during this whole process, where you're getting all this reaction, and it's fair to say a majority of it was negative through both sides, right? But would it be fair to say that when you posted those photos and you said, sometimes I wish I didn't do it, was it really more of you and Matt just trying to control the narrative, saying, like, listen, everybody's talking, so here we're putting it out there now, so we're in control of it, rather than people just, again, spelling rumors out there?
Well, I think, for me, it was, as people would try to spin this and say that I like posted it for attention when if I wanted to post things for attention, I know exactly how to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do, guys. Like, I was not seeking attention from that at all. It was that, we have moved to a point in our relationship where I love him. And I was like, I kind of want to share that moment with somebody that I love. And that was foolish to think. It really was. And I have to admit that, like, that was incredibly foolish on my part to think that that was going to be perceived as innocent in any sense of the form. Because,
Yeah, but ultimately you can't control how people perceive things. Like, I could post a photo of myself on a Christmas tree behind me, and people will find offense in some degree.
Yeah.
Although I'm just posting myself with a Christmas tree because I'm celebrating Christmas, people will be offensive and will throw so much slander in one direction. So I understand your point too, but I also don't want you to be so hard on yourself and saying you're foolish on that end, because you're just posting something about something you're happy about and really just trying to like dispel anything that might be going on.
And that's what it is, Misha. Like, any sign of happiness, and it triggers people, right? Like, it's in a good way or a negative way. And especially, with Matt's background, and of course, everything is online, right? We go back to even a couple of years too. And, the only question I would have for you personally would be, were there any trepidations with, obviously you do social media, obviously obviously you're a very smart woman and successful woman, right? Obviously, knowing Matt's background, I guess maybe naively thinking that posting that picture, no one's going to say anything. But of course, you've got the cancel cultures, you've got the Me Too's, you got all those hashtags that are, want to cancel stuff, whatever. Were any trepidations in getting involved, or were you very cautiously before you got into a relationship?
I actually, whenever I go into anything with any person, whether it be in a relationship that's romantic or professional, or even, friendships, making connections with people, I don't think it's appropriate to judge someone based on what other people say. I think it's something to keep in mind. Um, but I've never ever agreed with judging someone prematurely just because that's what someone else has said. In this case, the entire internet and the articles and all these different things that are out there. Um, I was aware of it, obviously, but I just don't choose to look at people like that prematurely. I think that even in the case like Rob Black, I've been asked many times about why I would ever associate with someone like Rob Black, who has a horrendous reputation, obviously in his past, and he was actually in prison. And some of the things, that were allegated against him are awful, and just, that whole entire mess. And I've said this before too, even about Rob. I was like, I really like Rob. And that's my experience with him. My experience with Matt is nothing but positive. It's literally the opposite of what anyone has ever allegated. And unfortunately, in this climate, and I'll say this delicately, that something like the Me Too movement was a wonderful opportunity, where victims of sexual assault and rape could come forward and, be heard, which, as we know, especially for females, being a victim of sexual assault and rape, it is almost impossible to get any kind of justice for legitimate victims. What happened with the Me Too movement, unfortunately, as we saw Johnny Depp, I was gonna say Johnny Heard, Jesus, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's case, and a lot of other cases, unfortunately, it was used as an opportunity to capitalize. And even in the case of the Harvey Weinstein case, Harvey Weinstein's an absolute monster. I actually, my professor was was the jury consultant for the Harvey Weinstein case in college. So I was very, very familiar and intimate with that case. And what I wanted people to understand is, emotion dictates a lot of our lives. And when people are in situations where they feel slighted or they're hurt, they react with hurt. They want to inflict hurt on other people. And for people that are elevated, it's very easy to do, unfortunately. And I don't think that that's right. Um, and I'll say this, like in certain situations where your feelings are hurt and you decide to weaponize those feelings, it's not right. And I would never say that someone isn't a victim. There, if it goes through a process, it is proven. Even if it never is, like, and you are a legitimate victim, I absolutely support victims. I shouldn't even have to say that. I have to, because this is a delicate conversation. What I don't support is people that see the opportunity to exploit someone financially or to try to damage them professionally because their feelings are hurt or they felt a certain way about a situation that they never discussed previously until they were hurt, and now it's an opportune time to do so. And the cancel culture is very ruthless, and we saw a lot of those things happen where it really was an opportunity to weaponize those feelings for whatever purpose, even just to validate those feelings, and at the very least, let alone the damage that's been done to people's reputations. And I'll tell you myself, the allegations that people are making against me, too, like, it affects you professionally, like, and I think that's absolutely unacceptable. I don't know how we got to a point where it's acceptable to just literally say whatever you want on the internet. It is taken as fact. You're guilty until proven innocent now. And we're supposed to obliterate someone's career, their family life, their everything because of an allegation that's has no merit potentially. And that's something that I don't understand. And, people are saying things about, me with different allegations. I won't even repeat them because it doesn't matter. You can, if people really want to know, they can go look. But it's unfortunate because being an adult entertainer, you're lumped into the stereotype of there's a lot of drug use, there's a lot of substance abuse, period, mental health issues, which is a stereotype that I've worked really hard in my life to try to break down. Not saying that it doesn't apply sometimes, but that's life. That applies to every person in the world, but unfortunately our industry is so stigmatized. So therefore, when people see some of these things coming out, they automatically assume that I am the stereotype, and I'm not. So it's unfortunate and it's damaging. And, things that have been said, at the end of the day, you have to understand that what you say has consequences. And mostly to you, it's like if you're hurt and you're trying to burn your house down, you're going to burn yourself alive in it. Is that worth it to you? And some of the things, I'm getting heat from the adult entertainment industry, my world, because I fell in love with someone who is a very wonderful person, despite what other people may say. And it's very unfortunate. And that's my experience. I'm speaking on my experience.
Mhm.
So I can't speak for anyone else. I can't speak for him. I can't speak for other women. I can't speak for anyone. I'm speaking for myself. He's a lovely person. And I've met his children. They're lovely. They're wonderful. It's unfortunate to know that the rest of the world is just trying to paint everybody in a certain light when it's not true. But again, I have to let that go, and I have. I just wanted to speak my piece and my experience and make it very clear that I'm very happy, and all of these things that are being said are not true in my mind. So, it's just an interesting thing to watch. But I just think, that's why I wanted to say, I wasn't going to say,
Mm.
sorry about that.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say anything at one point because I think things are best served by just knowing that, people can say whatever they want and it doesn't have to affect you. And, they're just going to talk. I can't control what they say. I don't want to control what they say. But I wanted to provide another narrative where, I get to just say my personal feelings and opinions on it to a small degree, and just let people know that, that I'm happy, and that's all that matters. So we are happy. Matt is very happy and healthy as well. And he's the happiest and healthiest I've ever seen him. And you know, he's gone through a lot in his life. And I would never judge him for that. And the fact that other people, do is just unfortunate. But we love each other, and that's how it is. So
Well, Jeff and I are very glad that you guys are happy and things are not as bad as people might presume it to be. But again, like the reaction is there. We see it. You see it personally from a personal basis, time and time again, from going on social media. And we spoke about this last time, and the last time we spoke together. Social media can be a great tool, but also could be a huge detriment as well too, because then everyone feels a sense of instant response, instant reaction. They feel like they're entitled to know certain things about certain individuals when you only share as much as you want to as a public figure. But you talked about, that experience and what you're going through now and how you're persevering through it, both you and Matt, right, together, supporting each other. But I wanted to ask you, Misha, like you said too, in terms of this affects one personally, but you're strong, you have very thick skin, like you said, right? But also could affect somebody professionally too. With that, is this now kind of caused you to second guess or maybe think twice now about wanting to pursue a career still in the professional wrestling world?
I have stepped back noticeably, so I'm comfortable saying this. I was not in the previous XPW shows, the last two. I will not be in New Jersey. It's kind of unclear at the moment where my future will be if I come back and when. Um, and I never wanted anyone to think, there's a lot that people think they think I'm a rat, and I'm not. I've never been with any other wrestlers. Like, hey, sorry, kayfabe, like Schlock and I are not together. We never were. And
That wasn't real.
You're very convincing, though. It was very convincing. I really thought there was something
You
there.
guys look like you're so in love.
I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I mean, and
Now you gotta tell me Santa Claus isn't real. Thanks.
What?
No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to break your heart. Pagano posted a picture of him and I together, and like people think we're together, and I'm like just running around with everybody, and I'm not. It's I'm not a rat. I never have been. I've never really. I mean, honestly, I never thought that I would ever be with a wrestler, let alone a very professional one. But
Hold on a second. Hold that thought real quick. But you see that you see that picture with him and everything like that, and people assume, right? Same thing. For example, I don't know if you saw that a while back before your situation happened, where I think Mia Yim. I don't know if you know her, but like she took a picture where she was like hugging Austin Theory, and then the internet trolls are like, oh, there's something going on right there. Like, oh, Keith Lee, look what she's doing behind your back and stuff like that. You like. That's the problem. The assumptions that there are of just people can't hug somebody. You're like, oh man, like there's something going on there. You can't take a picture. You haven't seen somebody in a long time, and you can't do that because people already get behind their computer and start talking shit and be like, hey, look, they just want to stir up that shit. Like, it's crazy what you're going through, but like, just talk about that, man. Like, I don't know if you heard about that, but that's just crazy. Like, you take a picture of somebody else, whatever, and they're gonna be like, hey, Matt, look what she's doing. It's just crazy the assumptions people make, man. It's crazy.
it really is. Like, that's the thing too, that the bigger your brand gets too, it's like the less privacy you have. You're like, we're not entitled to any form of privacy, and everybody misconstrues like literally everything. For me, obviously, in my profession, I think it's 10 times worse too now, because as soon as I post a picture with a guy, they're like, they definitely hooked up. And it's like, not necessarily. Like, even when I post pictures, like when I do events with fans and I get the heat where it's like, oh, is that your boyfriend, is this your husband, like you're cheating on your man, you're doing all these things. It's like, I'm not at all. Like, this is my friend, this is a fan, this is somebody I wanted to take a picture with. But people, it's unfortunate that they have nothing better to do. They just like look into things so deeply, and it's when there's nothing to dig, and there's literally nothing there. But you can, they make mountains out of molehills with these things. And it doesn't really bother me for the most part. I just think it's kind of like ridiculous and annoying. I'm just like, oh my god, what now? And sometimes I'm just kind of like really shocked, because my relationship with a lot of these people is so platonic that I'm just like, how? Why would you ever think that? I post pictures with my brother, And people are like, oh, nice. You guys are, happy for you.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know this. I mean, again,
No.
when you come from the adult film world, right? I think we spoke about this last time. One thing I noticed so much about it, I think that's what kind of separated my mindset when I started pursuing that in terms of interviewing performers, was that it's a business and it's a fantasy, and maybe nine times out of 10, it's all not what you believe in. Sometimes there is a percentage there that is exactly what it's portrayed out to be, but people can't separate the fantasy from reality, and that's what I've come to talk to a lot of performers about too. Like, it's great that they come see you, but they think, for example, oh, you're Misha Montana, but they don't understand you're Misha Montana from what you're showing them. Misha Montana is. It's not, for example, when the convention's over, lights are off, and you're going home. Maybe you're not this particular person. You're somebody completely different. So it's hard for them to separate. Same thing with pro wrestling. People think that MJF, oh, what a bastard that guy is. And I've had the pleasure, and Jeff and I've had the pleasure of speaking to him, and I hate to break kayfabe here, but he's a pretty nice guy, very driven, very focused guy, but at the same time, he takes his job very seriously, and he portrays being an asshole. You see him in people going for signs. He's giving fingers to kids. That's how much committed he is to being his persona. But at the same time, people have to be able to separate the two. And unfortunately, that's what you as an adult performer, that's what people in the pro wrestling world can't separate sometimes. There's a difference between the two.
Because they see your larger than life, sometimes lifestyle, right? They see the pictures, they see all that. And that's what the issue with social media is, that they believe that that's the reality. That's how you're living. That photo shoot that you do and you're like dressing all sexy and everything, that's the lifestyle. So that induces them to have their opinion, inform it, and people will say, oh, there's ulterior motives for you and your relationship and stuff like that. But that's just the way things are, man. And it's just tough now to have a public relationship.
It really is, like, especially to have a public relationship that's so incredibly covered by media and like sensationalized, and it's very, very, very public. It's like having a public relationship, even being a public figure, is hard enough as it is, but when it's elevated even to the level that it is, it's like it adds so much more difficulty to the situation. And I'm a very private person. Like, I give you a lot of my life. I've given you know talking about my personal medical struggles, and talking about my son who has cerebral palsy and the difficulties and challenges raising him, and the depression that I've gone through, and being very honest and open about a lot of dark moments in my life, about a lot of intimate experiences, that a lot of people wouldn't discuss, and for good reason. I just was never afraid of that backlash or that judgment, because I get so judged, and I always have my entire life I've been judged. So I'm not unfamiliar or a stranger to that judgment in a negative way. Um, but that's why it was so important to me to discuss those things, because I know that people suffer silently, and I would never want someone to feel that pain and think that they're alone, because they're not. And all of those challenges, I wanted to show that I could overcome them, and so could someone else that's going through something similar or something worse, or anything that you're going through that's challenging. Like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get through anything. And that was what was so important to me. So then when you have like something like this, it's like tabloid news. This is why I don't share a lot about my intimate life, or I've been very private about it for the most part. I always wanted to be private about my romantic life, because one, because of stuff like this, two, because of that persona, because for me, I'm a living, breathing, walking fantasy to people, even though I publicly go out and like share a lot about the struggles that I have. At the end of the day, people literally think that I'm walking around all the time, just makeup on, dressed like this, and like running around just like having sex with everyone all the time, and like that's not true at all. But that's persona, and that's you embodied that. And even in pro wrestling and like even actors, in the entertainment industry, you become your persona to a large degree, and it's hard to separate sometimes too. Like for me, I'm very similar when I'm public as to when I am privately. Obviously, there are some differences. The glamour, is a lot less, I would say. But my personality is pretty much the same. So I think that's hard for people to separate, because I am actually myself, and I try to be as authentic as possible publicly and privately. But I don't feel like it's anyone's business to know about our private lives, unless we choose to say so. And when things get ripped out of the privacy and safety, and that was the thing too, is I want to keep everyone in my life safe, um and protected from things like this, because I can handle it. I signed up to do this, but they didn't, and they don't deserve to have the kind of harassment that I have chosen to accept, and can deal with without being scathed for the most part. So it's a delicate balance. But when things get just pulled out of private into the public light, and you just get shredded, it's like,
Hmm.
it's unfortunate, because those things too, like, and that's why I didn't respond. I didn't care. I don't care what people say or think about me. I think it's unfortunate that they do, but again, it's not my problem. um the unfortunate part is when it does start affecting your professional life, when it does start affecting your friendships, your relationships, your children, your family. And I'll tell you, it has.
Yeah.
So, which now, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying now, because I've had enough. And I've had enough because I've been uh, harassed. My personal phone number was given out somehow. Um, I had someone come to my house looking for me.
Wow,
Uh,
that's really crossing the line right there.
That
it's
is.
crossing the line. This is enough. I'm done with it. You know what I mean? Like, I have had enough. And you're not just talking shit on the internet at that point. You
Yeah.
know, it's becoming out of hand. Um, and again, I at this current moment, I'm not like in fear of my personal safety or my son's. I was for a moment.
Mhm.
I was very shaken by some of this stuff,
Yeah.
and threats and things, and all these different things that I've received. And it's hard to separate, like, is this someone just being crazy and like talking shit, or is this like a legitimate threat? And then to have some of these things, you know push the line of being legitimate, it's terrifying. So, I the situations have been handled, and I was, hesitant to even discuss that publicly. But I want it to be known that, like, enough is enough. Like, if you disagree with what I do for a living, if you are not happy with some of these things that are being said, or our relationship, or whatever it may be, we don't deserve to have that level of harassment in our lives, especially when a lot of these things are untrue. Um, and it's like,
What's the biggest, because like I said, we thank you for reaching out to us, right, and being confident enough to come on with us, knowing we're gonna have this conversation. And it feels like a conversation. It feels like a conversation between three people that are just talking about certain topics, and this being you and Matt, and everything that's been said. But you know, as we wind down, like, what is the biggest rumor? What's the biggest one that's out there that's bothered you? Because we've talked about bits and pieces, but there's got to be one or something like that that's really bothered you, that you really want to set the record straight, so that when we're done with this one, they're like, oh, but I didn't get a chance to talk about the one that I really wanted to. Which is the one really bad rumor that's gone around that you might just want to clear up right now?
the biggest one. I mean, there are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
There are a lot out there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the biggest one for me, speaking strictly for myself, it would be that, like, he was, um in relationships with other people, and I came in and like ruined those relationships. That is absolutely incorrect.
Mm.
And I want to make that very clear that he and I were not together. Like, we were dating and seeing each other. He was dating and seeing other people, as he has a right to do. He was a single man. But I think people's feelings got hurt and they were too invested, and maybe they misunderstood and maybe they didn't. But at the end of the day, and and from my situation, like, I was technically in a relationship myself. So um I don't think that it's right to bury someone because they cheated. He did not cheat. I'll make that very clear. He did not. Um, he was not in a relationship monogamously with anyone at the time. Like, he was dating people, which he's allowed to do. And that's his business. And, I'll allow him to discuss it if he ever wants to. I doubt he will. But I've had, you know, contacts with a lot of people too, that where I know this because I'm speaking from what I know and what I've heard and seen. And I just think it was unfortunate the way that that played out, where um I look like just this horrible person that's like a homewrecker and evil and all these things, and I'm not. So I just wanted to make that very clear. And none of that matters either at this point, because he and I are together and we're very happy and our relationship is solid, and that's that. And from that too, even from my end of things, like, I have just been hammered by people that think that it's appropriate that I lose my positions in wrestling, in the professional adult world, that I be professionally blackballed because of my personal relationships. Um,
Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense to me why anyone would want to do that. To me, when people do that, I really feel it's more of like covering up their own securities. Now, again, I don't know the whole story, nor am I wanting to know the whole story, but I know in situations like you just described, it's your personal life. And at the end of the day, from personal to professional, is something completely different. So when somebody tries to blackball somebody in any field professionally, I think it's just that there's no rhyme or reason to do that, except only masking one's insecurities for wanting to do that, because either A, they don't want to see that person anymore, that person reminds them of all the bad things that are going on, and they're directing that person as responsible for it, when there's a lot of layers behind that as well. But I mean, when we've talked about what people have said to you on social media, what you're probably dealing with in the adult film world and the pro wrestling world as well, has there been positive outreach too? I mean, we have your back. You always have our support. Our support with you.
Yeah.
But has there been other forms of people reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, Misha, listen, you're good. Listen, don't feel bad. We're there for you." Stuff like that. Have you received that also reaction through the midst of this entire turmoil that you're dealing with?
storm. And I'll say this too, that I think, the storm is over, for I hope. And I'm not trying to discuss this now to rile the storm back up. I just wanted to speak my piece, and this is I would hope the last I ever have to discuss this again. But I was actually really shocked at how negative it was, and how um it impacted my personal career, or attempted to, greatly. And that was so shocking and upsetting to me. And it was a lot, and from people that I never thought would be moved by something like this. And um but at the end of the day, I was very upset. Honestly, I was very upset. When people that you love and care about
Mhm.
betray you and decide to believe tabloid news, or decide to take other people's opinions of you, that hurts. The random people on the internet doesn't. It's the
Mm.
people closest to you that it's like, wow, you know me and that's how you feel. you know and I was upset about it at first, but now it's like, you have to let that go, because honestly, if that's how you feel, then you were never really a friend or supportive of me in the first place. So as upsetting as it is, like, it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of positive reach, and and he'll probably kill me for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Shaq reached out to me.
Nice.
Like, he's going to kill me. He said, you know what? Fuck what everybody says. If you're happy, you're happy.
Oh.
And I was like, and stuff like that. And I have the people that are in my life still, they love me. I love them. It's beautiful. And, and even professionally, I'm not saying like I just got totally kicked out of everything, but significant changes in my professional world for sure. And people that were hurt were making sure that happened, unfortunately, which I don't think I deserve, but it is what it is. And but to have the people left and the ones that really do care about you, and all of this, by the way, is because I'm happy in a relationship with someone that I love. So put that into perspective too.
Yeah.
You want to ruin someone's life, their careers that feed their children, because they're in a happy, healthy, loving relationship. So, it's wild to me. I just never anticipated that it would be like that crazy.
Listen, Jeff and I, when we start hearing things, I'll be honest, we thought, this is gonna blow by pretty quickly.
Does.
It's not going to be anything big. And then we were very genuinely surprised too that it was going the way it did. And for Jeff and I, we wanted to respect your privacy, and so we didn't really want to bombard you with anything. But at the same time, always wanted to reach out to let you know, hey, listen, wishing you happy holidays and stuff like that, just kind of to keep the line of communication open for you, because that's never fun to see that. And like you said, better yet, that those individuals that have betrayed you and have you thought you guys were close, it's probably best they're not in your life to begin with anyway, especially starting the new year in 2023.
And of course, with the dominoes falling like all during the holiday week, kind of like with Matt being off TV, then this coming out, slowly like trickle effect. I believe this is not trying to reopen stuff. You're just trying to close a chapter on it so you can move on. Hey, because listen, we got better stuff to talk about. We got two people that are happy and we got WrestleMania coming up. We're got the Royal Rumble coming up. So now we're closing the chapter.
Got AVN, got X3 coming up. It's a whole new year, and all the new projects you're hoping to do, especially that you're looking forward to, that hopefully haven't been affected by everything that's going on. There's a lot to look forward to in 2023. So hopefully it's the closing of this chapter and moving on to a newer one.
And we think the best thing is that you keep busy this month, because you're going to be doing all
she's going to be
things.
busy. So AVN, guys, if you know anything about AVN, I've been a part of it. Unfortunately, I will not attend this year. It sucks. You're there, right? And I'm not going to go to Las Vegas. Of course, of course it works out that way. But dude, it is an amazing time if you're a huge fan to go there. And when I've been there before myself too, Jeff and I have been there together, and we've seen the unmeasured support that people have for the performers. Also, it's a mix of wrestling, and I mean, we've seen people walk out with championship belts, having them signed by adult film performers. It's a great atmosphere, a great time. But for the performers, I must say, Misha, my prayers go out to you, because it's not a fun experience for the performers. I've been fortunate enough to befriend some performers here in this industry, and to see what they go through on a day-to-day basis. I should never complain about my travel schedule. the way you guys have to pack, get ready, go to these events. You're pulled around in 20 million different directions. God bless you guys for doing that.
It's a lot. And I'm like, just with everything, not even this situation going on. I mean, it's playing a part, but it's like, man, I'm like not ready. I'm like,
plan on not getting any sleep. So
now, and it's the thing is, it's always kind of the buildup is like so crazy, because it's like the stress, but then when you're there and you're in it, and it's so electric and fun and like crazy, it's just like, it's so much fun, and I love doing them. I love like meeting people and talking with them, and I love it. It's just like, it's such a cool experience for me, because I know it means so much to other people too. So I'm looking forward to it. But this is like the craziest 2 weeks of the year, and we always put it right in the front just to kick it off.
It wasn't always like that though, because last couple years before COVID happened, it was towards the tail end of January. Now it's like the first week of January, and then, for example, X3, for people who don't know the adult film industry, X3 really started last year because AVN was still digital. And so I don't know if there's a competition there. We're like, hey, listen, we don't want X3 to take X-Bits to take all our momentum, so now we're going to do it right above them.
That's exactly what it is. They're like I said, the adult industry is very high school, so they every year it's like we're going to announce our nominations first. And then 10 minutes later, they scramble and they'll, AVN will announce after. So they kind of go back and forth between like who's going to be better and bigger. And like they, this weird political infighting that happens. But I love both. I'm really looking forward to both. I love XBiz. X3 is amazing. That's really going to be fun too. They give us our own individual performer booths, which is awesome. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, award season is fun and awesome, and convention season is also fun. So this is a great way to start the new year, and that's what, like you guys said too, you're right on the same page with me. I want to close those negative chapters and then start fresh and have a new story, new chapters, new opportunities, new journeys, and have a beautiful, blessed, happy, healthy new year to start. And and I wish that for everyone. So I hope that that's what it is, and I think we're off to a good start. So
and all the years, right? I think isn't Rhea Sunshine hosting the award show?
Bella Danger.
All Danger and
Rhea.
Yeah. See, I would go as his cameraman, so I would make the ultimate sacrifice, and
he would.
No, like
yeah, and man, the year that Rhea Sunshine is hosting, I can't go. That's say hi to her for me, Misha. You're my number one favorite, and Ray is number two. So wish her tell her I said hi.
Hey, there's no doubt if they had done this correctly and done it at the tail end of January, we would have been there, no questions asked. But scheduling conflicts became what they were, and you know what, Jeff, I must say, if this works itself out, and hopefully Misha is alive after 2 weeks of exhaustion when it's all said and done, this kind of reminds me of like the Tokyo Dome, New Japan Pro Wrestling. This kicks off the year.
Yeah, it does.
Huge bang of like New Japan, Sky Dome and stuff like that.
Tokyo
AVN,
Dome,
Tokyo Dome, sorry, Sky Dome in Toronto.
You sound like Hogan.
You sound like Hogan right now,
Super
brother. You're in the Superdome. Silver Dome. I'm sorry, brothers. But no, it's an exciting start to the year in the adult film industry, and also with the pro wrestling industry as well, to kick off with the Tokyo Dome and Wrestle Kingdom as well. So great start off to it, and looking forward to what the future holds, not only in the world of pro wrestling, but also for you, Misha. We're so happy.
I would definitely check that out, Misha. Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know if you're into New Japan, but they've got so many names there now. Like,
you'll love it.
Definitely, it's something that you should look at. Maybe after you're done with AVN, take a look at. It's going to be a great card as far as the matches. I know Kenny Omega is actually back. He's fighting Will Ospreay, so definitely. And Sasha Banks, Monet Banks. Yeah. So
is it Monet or Money?
Oh no, Monet, I think, or Money, whatever. There's a little thing on the end of the E, so I'm gonna say it's Monet Banks.
Potato.
Yeah. So definitely, it's gonna be a great start. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Hopefully we'll see you there. Maybe hopefully we'll see you in LA. Maybe.
No, we're definitely going to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
that's 100%. Yeah. So we have to hook up. Yeah, we have to hook up and see each other.
I'll definitely be there for sure.
Yeah. So, and then the close, Misha, is definitely didn't get a chance to say this, but obviously when you sent the picture out, you were regretting it. But when Matt sent the picture to kind of like do that affirmation that you guys were together and that he was happy, did you know that he was going to? And how did you feel knowing that, wow, you know what? We kind of like made it official. It's out there and it's on the same page, and it's out there.
I was really happy I knew he was going.
Okay.
He told me that he was going to, because too, again, like, he wanted to make it very clear in a very, very eloquent and simple way. It didn't require a whole lot more explanation. He, by posting the picture and saying what he said, it was enough. You didn't need to say any more than that. And it made me feel great too, because it was like, like, thank you for that. Like, not that I needed it. I don't need that, but it's like, it's nice, like, and I know how he feels about me and about the situation too. So it was very nice gesture for him to do that, and he saying it means more than me saying it too. And I think it made a lot of people back off of me too, a lot. Yeah. Because some of his like really diehard fans were they were on me, and they're like, "You're just another one of these chicks," which I understand, guys. I get it. From what it looks like, I understand why you think that and feel that way. But I'm just telling you that it's not. And then so for him um, to go and support that and verify that, in their minds, they're like, "Oh, okay, he said it. She's cool. We're happy. Everyone's happy for the most part, and it's like people that weren't happy in the first place are never going to be. So it's like it is what it is. But I think it's died down so much, and it's lovely now and peaceful, and we're happy, and everybody else is happy and supportive. And the more they learn about me, I think the more supportive they'll be. And if they're not, they're not. So
You know what? And that's all that matters, obviously. If you
Yeah.
guys are happy, that's all that matters. And you know what, Misha, when we first met you, you were blonde. I'd seen you as a brunette, but I have to say, in 2023, as a redhead, I'm digging this look.
yeah, I love
This is really working for you. I feel this redhead thing. You know, you'd post on social media, I'm thinking about changing my hair color, whatever. You know, I took it with a grain of salt because a lot of people post, "Oh, I'm going to change my hair. I'm going to do this, do that." Don't really do it. You did it, and you're rocking it, girl. You're rocking it.
I appreciate that love because I love it. I'm feeling it because I was going to go back dark because my hair is like fucked from the blonde to be
Yeah.
like
What's
it
the
was
natural hair color that you normally
Black.
have? It's a black.
so I was gonna go back dark, but then I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait, my hair is bleach blonde. Like I could put any color in it because you couldn't do this if your hair was dark. So I'm like, it's blonde. It's the perfect time. And so I actually went and did it myself. And my hair girl texted me and was like, "You did not fucking dye your hair red, did you?" Oh, I sure did. She's like, "Oh my God." She's like, there's no going back from that. I was like, no, I knew it. I had to commit to not being blonde anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't go back to being blonde anytime soon. But I'm like, I love the red. I was like, red is like, I'm just feeling it. And it was like the perfect thing to start the new year. And I love it. So thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. I really enjoy you both. And I'm so happy that you guys wanted to chat with me. And I still want to chat with you in person. So maybe WrestleMania will be it, unless
Yeah,
you make
definitely. Stars will align in LA, hopefully. No pun intended there, right? So hopefully we'll get to talk there. She is Misha Montana. You can follow her on all her social media at the Misha Montana. AVN XBiz, busy January for her. And we thank you for joining us here on the HSP podcast, talking about just clearing the air with us and clearing the air on stuff that she wanted to get off her chest. And we thank you for that, Misha, and definitely a friend of the podcast and the show, and looking forward to, talking in person soon. But again, thank you so much, Misha. Appreciate you. And I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berga. And of course, guys, we do this for you. Trendsetter, close it out because it's your line.
Of course, you're not gonna steal my thunder there. Take my heat. Basically, what Jeff wanted to say is, and as eloquently as I could say it, Misha, is that from Jeff, the scoundrels we call him, I'm the trendsetter. Jersey Rain crew have nothing but the utmost admiration for you and everything you're doing, and we wish you and Matt nothing but a joyous time in 2023, and as the future holds too. Won't be the last time we meet, won't be the last time we talk, but at the same time, we love seeing good things happen for good people. You're definitely one of those individuals, and so as good things happen for you, we could be more than happy for you to do it. And guys, remember, we do this for one reason only, since day one-ish. I'll steal that from the Usos. We do this for you guys, the crew.